Hey guys, my name is Brian Skinney from secretsofsushi.com, and in this video I'm going to show you guys how to make the Hapa Roll. This roll actually comes as a special request from my good friend Melissa Slaughter, who's one of the founders of the Hapa magazine. This recipe was specifically created to celebrate their 1-year anniversary, so congratulations Hapa Mag. If you guys haven't had a chance to check out one of their magazines yet, click on the link in the description box below. The Hapa Roll recipe is my spin on a traditional Hawaiian dish called musubi. The first thing that we want to do for this recipe is to prepare our vegetables. So I have a red bell pepper here, and what I want to do in order to prepare this for the sushi roll is to remove the stem and to cut the sides off of the bell pepper. Next, I want to lay the freshly cut portion of the red bell pepper face down. And I'm going to cut the bell pepper into slices. After the bell pepper has been cut into strips, I'm going to set it on a plate next to me. And next I'm going to cut an avocado. With the avocado, I want to set it to where the long portion is perpendicular to the bottom of the cutting board. And I'm going to take my knife and slice down until I reach the pit. Once I've hit the pit, I'm going to pick the avocado up. I'm going to point my knife straight up and down. I'm going to very carefully and slowly slide the avocado up the knife, but not allowing the tip of the knife to go into the avocado itself. Next, while holding my knife perfectly still, I'm going to rotate my avocado down the knife until it reaches the bottom. This is a good way to make sure that your starting cut lines up with your ending cut. I'm going to grab onto the two halves and twist them in opposite directions and then pull them apart. Next, I'm going to set the half of the avocado with the pit still attached onto my cutting board. I'm going to very carefully hold on to just enough of the avocado so it doesn't rock back and forth, and I'm going to take my knife and firmly chop it into the pit of the avocado. Next, I'm going to pick the avocado up again and twist my knife in the opposite direction that I twist the half of the avocado. This easily removes the pit. Next, I'm going to take my fingers and without touching the edge of the knife, I'm going to place them on the flat part of the blade and then pull straight out to remove the pit from my knife. Next, I'm going to hand peel my avocado. Once my avocado has been peeled, I'm going to set the flat portion of the avocado face down on the cutting board, and I'm going to use a knife to slice the avocado into very thin slices. Now the key to slicing your avocado very thinly is that most people initially want to take their knife and chop straight down in the avocado. But you'll notice that the avocado slice sticks to the side of your knife. However, if you set the tip of your knife onto the cutting board and draw straight back, the avocado slice tends to stay in place. This is the best technique that I've found to be able to quickly and accurately slice avocado into very thin slices. Once your avocado has been cut, you can slide the avocado into your hand and make sure the pieces are running left to right. And then using both hands, you can use your thumbs to push the avocado away from you to stagger the pieces out. I find that when you fan the avocado slices like this, it makes it a lot easier to grab individual slices of avocado when you're assembling your roll. Now that all the ingredients have been cut, we're ready to cut our funnest ingredient, which is pineapple. The first thing we want to do is to remove the top leafy part of the pineapple. Next, we're going to remove the bottom portion of the pineapple. And now that the pineapple is flipped on its side, we get to remove the outside skin of the pineapple. Now there's two schools of thought on removing the skin. The first one is that you cut very deeply so that you make sure that you remove all of the eyelets. And the second school of thought is that you actually make more shallow, thin cuts, and then you remove the individual eyes later. I personally prefer the second school of thought because it preserves more of the actual pineapple itself and doesn't quite waste as much. Go ahead and remove the entire skin of your pineapple. Okay, now that we've removed all the skin from the pineapple, you can notice that a lot of these eyelets are actually going in a diagonal pattern across the pineapple. So what you can do is use a paring knife or a serrated steak knife and actually cut a V shape into the pineapple to remove the eyelets. This part can be pretty tricky, so make sure that you go slow and that you're very careful not to cut your hand. Alright, now we've removed all the eyes from our pineapple. We have this fun spiral design going throughout our pineapple. And the last thing we need to do is to cut this hard core off the pineapple. So what I'm going to do is actually just cut a square around the actual core of the pineapple itself. Now we can set our pineapple on a plate and put it aside. And the last thing that we need to prepare is our Spam. That's right, musubi is made out of Spam. Open your can of Spam up and then flip it over. Ooh, sound. And we want to cut our Spam into very thin slices. Now, Spam is already cooked, but I want to marinate the Spam and then grill it. So what I've done is I've put 1/4 cup of soy sauce, 1/4 cup of oyster sauce, and 1/2 cup of sugar into this Tupperware container and mixed it all together until the sugar dissolved. And this is what I'm going to marinate the slices of Spam in for about 5 minutes or so before I grill it. Okay, now that we have all of our ingredients cut and grilled, now we get to talk about making Hapa rice. So Hapa rice is supposed to be half brown rice, half white rice. But brown rice requires twice as much water to cook as sushi rice does. So what I had to do was prepare my sushi rice separately from my brown rice. After my sushi rice had been seasoned and has cooled down to room temperature, and my brown rice had finished cooking and also cooled down to room temperature, what I've done is added 1 cup of sushi rice and 1/2 cup of brown rice. So the sushi rice is seasoned with rice wine vinegar, salt, and sugar, but the brown rice is not seasoned with anything at all. I chose to go with twice as much sushi rice as brown rice because I want to make sure that we maintain that sticky consistency of the rice when we start applying it onto the seaweed. So what I'm going to do is use a spatula to combine the 2 parts of rice to make our Hapa rice. Alright, and now we're ready to assemble our Hapa roll. The first thing you want to do is to grab your bamboo makisu, which is wrapped in cellophane, and you want to make sure the bamboo pieces have the darker, flatter side face up and are running left and right or parallel to the bottom of your cutting board. Next, you want to take a single piece of nori or seaweed, and you want to make sure that the rough textured side is face up and the glossy side is face down. You want to put that up towards the bottom of your makisu with about 1 inch of space still left at the bottom. Next, you want to take one hand and dip it into your bowl of water and transfer that water onto the other hand by rubbing them together. The goal here is to make sure that your hands are glossy but not dripping with water. Next, you want to take a handful of rice and we're going to spread it from the center of our nori out to all 4 sides. It's important that we not use a strong downward pressing motion because that would smash the rice. So instead what we're going to do is use a gentle rolling motion. It's important that the rice goes to all 4 edges of the seaweed. In fact, it's actually better that the rice goes over the edge than not quite all the way to the edge. When you're done, your layer of rice should be between 3 and 4 grains deep. Next, I'm going to grab the 2 corners furthest away from me to gently pick up the sushi rice and the seaweed and flip it over. Next, what we want to do is to grab a single piece of our grilled musubi or our grilled Spam, and we're going to make a couple of slices. We want to set our slices in the middle of our seaweed, and we want to try to make sure that the interior ingredients are as consistent as possible from end to end. Next, you want to add 2 slices of red bell pepper on the side of the Spam furthest away from us. Next, you want to add a few slices of avocado. I always recommend placing the avocado on the side of the ingredients that's closest to you. And remember that consistency in sushi is the key. The reason why I tell my students to place the avocado on the side closest to them is so that when we go to roll all the ingredients together, that the soft avocado is covered first and that the firm pieces of red bell pepper can hold the ingredients in place while we go through the rolling process. To make our sushi, we're going to place our 2 thumbs underneath towards the center of our makisu, and we're going to place our remaining 4 fingers on the pieces of red bell pepper to hold our ingredients in place. Next, we're going to curl our thumbs up and over the ingredients, all the way until the bottom edge of the seaweed and rice are now touching the exposed part of the seaweed. It's at this part of the sushi rolling process where we're going to apply the most pressure. But instead of pressing down, we're actually going to press back towards us. So we're going to use the bottom edge of our bamboo makisu as sort of a guide, and we're going to scrape that against the exposed part of the nori, and we're going to squeeze back towards us. So after we've pressed back towards us, we can lift up the bamboo rolling mat, and using one hand, I'm going to pull the bamboo mat away from me And while using the other hand, I'm going to apply just enough downward pressure to make sure that the bamboo mat never leaves the surface of the rice. And then you can kind of use your fingers to roll the bamboo mat forward and finish the rolling process. Now the last thing we want to do is to drape the bottom part of the bamboo rolling mat over the top of our sushi. And we're going to take 4 fingers on one hand and press them down so that your fingers are pressing in between the 2 layers of the bamboo rolling mat. Using one hand to hold the bottom of the mat, I'm going to slowly but forcefully roll the bamboo mat back towards me. So the objective here is to make sure that we are squeezing out any excess air on the inside of our roll and making sure that all of our ingredients are nice and compact so that when we cut the roll, it doesn't fall apart. Now that we have our roll assembled, it's time to slice it. Make sure you have a sharp knife, preferably not a serrated edge, and I recommend using a Japanese yanagiba. You can drape a damp rag over the back of the knife and gently wipe the knife off to make sure there's nothing stuck to your knife, and also to apply a thin layer of water on your knife so it doesn't stick to the rice nearly as much. We want to set our yanagiba into the middle of our roll, and we want to use long back and forth sawing motions to cut through our roll. Once our roll has been cut, we can stack the 2 halves next to each other, and then we're going to set our yanagiba in the center again and just do long back and forth sawing motions. Repeat that for both halves, and now you have 8 sliced pieces. Get your hands wet once again, and I want you to carefully separate your pieces and set them back into a straight line again. Now as you can see, because we've combined brown rice with white sushi rice, the rice is kind of fraying off of the roll, and this is because the brown rice wasn't seasoned with anything, so it has less starch to stick to everything else. To fix that, we're going to take our bamboo makisu, and we're going to drape the flat, darker bamboo pieces over the top of the roll, and gently squeeze the roll back together, making sure the top of the makisu is rounded while the bottom stays flat. Now we can plate our roll, and I like to stagger my 8 pieces into a single line. Once our roll is plated, we can cut a few slices of thin grilled pineapple and carefully set a single piece of pineapple onto each piece of sushi. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Special shout out to Hapa Magazine for their 1-year anniversary. If you guys like this content and you want to see more, click on the red subscribe button below. My name is Brian Skinner from secretsofsushi.com, and thank you guys for watching.